What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Khree Z. So we've got something new and interesting to check out for you guys today. This is the Khree Z. They call it a modular box mod system, and the reason they call it that is this right here. This whole tank section, this is the tank and the heating element, comes out all in one piece just like that. Kind of like the old school CE4 clearomisers and things like that. But this is kind of the modernized look to it. The coils that come with it are 1.2 ohm and 0.8 ohm, so it does have a sub-ohm option, which is kind of nice. So before we get into this video, I do have to state my intent by saying that I did receive this product for free from the manufacturer for the purpose of doing this video review. However, it has no monetary value to me, which means my opinions on it will remain honest and unbiased. So with that being said, I would like to give a huge shout out and thank you to the people over at Khree for sending this along for me to take a look at and for you guys to check out as well. So thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. So before we get down to the close-up view, I did want to read off this spec sheet that they gave me just a little bit, just to give you guys a little bit of a base knowledge about this device. So first of all, the MSRP on this device is going to be $79.99, which is a little bit pricey compared to what else is out there on the market nowadays, but you are getting a full system for that price. So if you look at it that way, it's not so bad. The dimensions on it are 0.63 inches by 2.2 inches by 4.57 inches. It uses a 510 mouthpiece. It's top filling. It has a 4 mil juice capacity. The wattage output is 30 watts. The voltage output is 3.7 volts. The body is made out of aluminum. The battery capacity is 1300 milliamps. They use Kanthal A1 for their coils and organic cotton as well. The coils come in 0.8 ohm and 1.2 ohm organic cotton coils. The colors available are black, silver, and rose gold, and it has a direct to lung with the 0.8 ohm coil and a mouth to lung with a 1.2 ohm coil, and it charges with a micro USB cable that is supplied in the box. So that's a few of the little specs there. They also sent along this poster just to give you guys a little bit better look at the different colors that are available, and you know, the little modular system, how it is all involved here. But on the back, you'll notice this thing. This is their wax vaporizer, so I guess they also do wax pens as well. But there you go. Let's go ahead and dive down into the close-up view and take a better look at this thing. Alright guys, so as you can see, we have our Khree Z in its original box. Now let's just quickly take a look at the packaging before we go and check out the device itself. So as you can see right there on the front, it has not only crazy, which is their tagline. It's a nice plain and simple packaging, kind of looks like a cell phone or an iPod or something like that. It's got this matte white finish, and then the mod itself here has a bit of spot varnish on it, so it makes it nice and shiny there. You can kind of see the reflection of my lights. Not too much else on the packaging there. On the back, you have your little authenticator and the shiny little authentic sticker as well. Contents of the box, things of that nature. Blah, 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 blah. And yeah, so let's just take a look here. Just a little, their symbol there, the Khree symbol. Crazy Creative on this little flap of the box there. Very nice and classy looking. It's got this silver embellishment on the paper there. You have your Khree itself. Let's just take that out real quick. Now, each one of these little cartomizer things comes with a fill first sticker, so you have to kind of remove that before the battery terminals are exposed. So just thought I'd save that and mention it. But anyways, we have our Khree Z instructional manual, which gives you a few nice little color pictures in there and a few illustrations as well, which is a kind of a nice touch. I like that, you know, the normal kind of broken English sort of stuff that you're used to, but that's kind of the same with every single product out there on the market. But throwing that aside, we have our warranty card. So there is a manufacturer's warranty on this device. You can fill that out to your heart's desire, and you could scratch off the code and evaluate the authenticity on the back of the box. In the box here is a micro USB cable that I haven't even taken out yet because I've got a million of these things laying around. There you go. Micro USB cable, nothing fancy. Just going to put that back because I'm probably never going to use it. And finally, we have our additional cartomizer. Now this, as you can see, has some juice coming out of it there. That's because I tried filling it with citrus flavor. Citrus flavor does not work in here. I would speculate that banana and cinnamon would not work as well because they're tank crackers. And yeah, haven't had to deal with anything like that in quite some time. But yes, this, you have to be very, very careful about what flavors you're putting in this thing, because certain ones will crack it. So there you go. Be very careful. Unfortunately, I was able to use that tank for about maybe 5 minutes before I just gave up on it and I threw the 0.8 ohm in there. All right, so let's quickly take a look around this device here. As you can see, it has this little magnetic top cover, which just comes off like so. And that sticks right on the bottom there. If you want to just save your cap while you're vaping and you don't want to lose it, you don't want to set it down anywhere, it just sticks on the bottom just like that, which is a really nice touch. I got to be honest with you. That's one of the nicest things about this device here, is that little magnetic design. This is a cardomizer system. It's a modular cardomizer system. So you take out the piece here, and this is the actual cardomizer itself. In the bottom of this tank, you might be able to see it, is a little tiny coil. Right in there is the coil, and the cotton leads come out like that. And that's where the juice gets soaked up through the bottom there, goes up here, there's your airflow system, and boom, there's the mouthpiece. So this is technically just like an old school cardomizer, except with a slightly more modernized box design. Kind of an interesting little thing. It's got this little child resistant pin here that keeps in the liquid, and it's a pain in the butt to get open. I have to fiddle with this thing for a few seconds before, there we go, finally the threads give way and I can fill it. But it does hold 4 ml of e-liquid, which is quite a lot. It's nice to be able to have, see, there you go. It's nice to be able to have, 4 ml of juice in a tank, especially without, crazy super sub-ohm coils, so that it will last you like all day. This thing will last me pretty much all day. As I fiddle with this thing to try to get it back, I've cross-threaded it, and it's just really fiddly and annoying, and just kind of rocks back and forth, and it's a pain in the butt. There we go. Finally got it back, and only got a little bit of juice on my fingers. So, yeah, the cotton tails in here, I've received an email from them not too long ago. They said they are cutting down the amount of cotton that they're putting on the coils so that it's going to improve the flavor. Now, I saw Grim Green did a little preview of this in his, I think, one of his vlogs. And, yeah, he said that he wasn't getting a whole lot of flavor out of it because it feels like it's going half dry half the time. And that, yeah, I get that same kind of thing. I feel like it has to do with the amount of cotton in there. They really don't need that much cotton. In the bottom here, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but it does have kind of a horizontal coil, and it's a little tiny, tiny micro coil. I feel like this could be dramatically improved. This system could definitely be improved by kind of modernizing it ever so slightly. Vertical coil, wrap the cotton around the outside just like every other tank out there, and boom, you got your better system. So the mouthpiece is made out of plastic. I'm not sure if it's Delrin or just regular old plastic, but it feels nice as far as, it doesn't heat up or anything like that. Otherwise, though, that's pretty much the only mouthpiece that I've found that fits. The only other ones, or rather the ones that I use normally, are these little rubber squeezy ones here. Those fit, and the cap fits on as well when I put it back together. So you have to line up the 2 metal contacts at the bottom here with the corresponding metal contacts on the inside of your box mod. Yeah, it's probably going to be impossible to see there, but right here you have your window that shows you the liquid level. I know it's pretty impossible to see, and you're not the only one that thinks that, because I find it very difficult to see the liquid inside there. Here you have the button. It's kind of a fiddly little thing. Hopefully you guys can hear that. It just has that like rattliness to it. Feels a little bit cheap, but it works. It's clicky, and it fires up every time you press it, which is good. You might have seen that little light come on. That's your battery indicator. It stays white all the way down to, I think, about 10 or 15% or something like that. And then when it's starting to die, it'll turn red, and then pretty much almost instantly the thing dies. So if it turns red, make sure you get to the charger ASAP. Speaking of charging, we have the micro USB port right there. That is how you charge it. You can use any like wall adapter. I use a 1 amp 5 volt wall adapter, which is pretty much standard, and it charges up in about an hour-ish. About an hour-ish, it'll give it a full charge from being pretty much fully dead. The only other thing to really show you guys is the battery. As you can see, there's a little arrow on there. So this door slides out, and there's your battery. This is a lithium-ion battery, very similar to a camera or something like that. They probably just repurposed a battery from something else, I would imagine, some sort of camera or something in this device here. So there is your battery. It's 1300 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery. Not much else to it. It's surprisingly long-lasting for being 1300 milliamp hours. I was expecting a lot less from that, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that it lasted a lot longer. There you have a few little venting holes on the bottom as well. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all there is to talk about as far as the Khree Z is concerned. So let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section of this video. Now let's talk about some of my personal thoughts, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Let's start it off today with the pros, and my first pro is the solid construction and the classy look. So yes, this thing is absolutely rock solid. Really doesn't feel cheap whatsoever, the body at least for that matter. Body really feels nice and solid. It feels like well constructed, and I don't think it's going to break on me anytime soon. But not to mention that, it also looks super duper classy. I gotta say, if I was going to a wedding or something like that, and I wanted kind of a discreet, stealthy vape that I could just slip in a jacket pocket or something like that, then I would definitely bring this guy along, because really it just looks almost like a cell phone or an MP3 player or something like that. And just for you to just slip it out and vape on it a couple of times, it's almost like, you're carrying around a flask or something like that. But yeah, I like the classy look to it. It's very simple design, but it works. It's very functional. My second pro is the magnetic top cover. Honestly, I'm really surprised that no one else has thought of this so far. You take the top cover off, you put it on the bottom. There you go. And it holds it on there, gives you a little bit extra grip room, and yeah, it feels nice and comfortable, honestly. It doesn't really feel like that thing's going to fall off anytime soon. It's actually pretty on there, pretty solid. And yeah, you could just cover it right up. So that way it doesn't leak, doesn't get juice in your pocket, it doesn't get dust inside the atomizer. It's genius. Where have all the other companies been on the magnetic top cover? I just don't get it. But yeah, I love that. My third pro is the battery life is decent, especially for the 1300 milliamp hours that they supply with it. It is a 1300 milliamp hour battery, but honestly, I feel like it's a little bit like almost more powerful than that. I get almost an 18650's worth of battery life out of it. It's kind of like you're using a single 18650 battery with something along the lines of 2500 or 3000 milliamps rather than the 1300 that it's labeled. So really, I get a lot more battery life than I was expecting out of this thing. Unfortunately, there's no warning as to when it's going to die. It's basically, it turns red for about 5 minutes and then it's done. It is absolutely done. But other than that, I would say I'd get about 4 to 6 hours of battery life if I'm just chain vaping this thing. My final pro is that I like the idea, I like the idea behind this device. I really do, but there are a lot of changes that, are needed before I feel like it would make it worth the price tag. So, yeah, it's not so much a pro as more of just a general idea about this device here. I absolutely love a lot of these features, but there's it's kind of a long way to go. It's a long road to travel before this kind of style device is really going to become popularized. And I feel like other modern vapors are going to agree with my thoughts on this, just because there's a lot of things that we're very demanding about, and I'll get to those in just a second here. So I'm just going to have a few vapes real quick and we'll get to the cons. Alright guys, let's move on to some cons, and my first con is the cheap plastic tank they supplied with the 1.2 ohm clear miser cracked instantly when I tried to put some citrus flavored e-liquid in there. Now, I personally haven't had to use the phrase tank cracker e-liquid in years. It has been a very long time since I've had to even worry about my juice cracking tanks, and unfortunately the plastic that they use for these clearamizers is not the type that holds up well to anything citrus, and I would imagine the same is true for banana and cinnamon flavors as well, because those were the top 3 tank cracking e-liquids from back in the day. And now my second con is that there's not nearly enough airflow with the 0.8 ohm coils. Now I really don't mind the 1.2 ohm coils with the airflow because it's mouth to lung. You get a nice mouth to lung inhale off of it. It's a slightly restricted draw, and that's kind of what I was expecting. With the 0.8 ohm coils, I really have to carb my mouth a little bit extra and just let some more air in order for me to get a decent hit. So yeah, it's kind of like a half con, I guess, so to speak, because the other coil that's supplied with it, yeah, no problem with that one. But the 0.8 ohm, I really feel like they need to open up that airflow. The next con I have is the supplied drip tip is ugly, uncomfortable, and can't be changed. Now, luckily, I found one of these disposable drip tips that I picked up at one of the events that I was at recently, and I've been using that on here because the drip tip that comes with it is just a straight plastic 510 drip tip, and it's not very comfortable at all. Now, I've been using this in the car a lot. This is a good go-to kind of travel vape and things like that. So yeah, I've been using it in the car a lot, which means I like, a plastic or rubber drip tip. And this way I don't smash my teeth if I hit a bump or anything like that. So luckily this one works, but none of my other drip tips, the acrylic or anything else that I have, work with this one. They're just a little bit too wide and the top cover doesn't quite fit on. Even this one here kind of smushes it down a little bit. You can kind of see it when you are looking at it up close. It smushes down that drip tip a little bit. And yeah, luckily it's made out of rubber, so it flexes a little bit. But yeah, that drip tip that it comes with, not a big fan. The next con I have is the filling port cover feels very cheap, weak, and just kind of gets in the way. Now, on the poster they supplied, it's a little bit different looking than what it is here. On this one here, as you saw in the close-ups, is a knurled kind of drip tip. I really just don't feel like it fits in with the rest of the form factor of this device. It doesn't look very classy. It looks really kind of just like the oddball piece to this whole design here. And yeah, it kind of wobbles when you kind of try to take it off, and the threads just feel really janky and just not my favorite piece to this design. I honestly think they could have done a better job designing the filling port on this thing, and it just gets in the way. Whenever I try to vape on it with the air holes facing away from me, my bottom lip hits it, or it just kind of digs in right there, and it feels really weird and funky, and just not a big fan of that whatsoever. That needs a total redesign in my opinion. The next one I have is needs another window on the opposite side. As you saw in the close-ups, it has this little window right here so you can see your liquid. Well, there's no light coming in from the back, so I can't see anything. I mean, I've tried this in direct sunlight. I've tried this, with regular lighting on, overhead lighting. I can't see my juice in there. No matter what angle I try to see it, I try to see the juice. I can't see it because there's no light coming in from the opposite side. So yeah, if they put another little window in right there, it would fix that issue no problem, and it would make this a whole lot better in my opinion. So they definitely need a little window on the other side. The next one I have is they could have added battery power by making it a non-removable battery. Now, again, yeah, you saw that this battery cover here comes off and the thing slides out, and it looks kind of like a camera battery or something like that. They could have just done away with that, not made it removable. I mean, I could see the advantage of having a removable battery, because then you can swap it out and get a new one, and you don't have to worry about your device or anything like that. You can just keep using it and using it and using it. However, I feel like this is more for the kind of portability rather than having extra batteries in your pocket. So if you're going for that portability, then add battery power and then just take out, the ability to remove it. So I feel like they could have done a lot better with the battery system. Even though it does hold a charge for a decent amount of time, they could have done a lot better. Next up, we have buttons rattle. They should have put a light around the button rather than right above the button. And they could have made it color changing, similar to like the Inakin VVs or something like that, where they turned yellow when it was starting to die, and then it was red when it was under like 20%. They really should have done something along those lines, because as of right now, that little white light on there is a little bit distracting. I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, heck, they could have put it underneath the clearmizer for all that, for all intents and purposes. Or they could have put it around that button. I would have liked to have seen that. It would have probably made it look a little bit classier. And then, of course, the battery, or the switch rattle, the little fire button rattle. You could probably hear that. It's annoying, and it takes away from the classiness, again, of the device. And next up we have, my thoughts on this device would change dramatically if it had some sort of variable voltage or variable wattage or some form of chip or power control to it. Anything would help. 3 clicks to change voltage, or a little tiny slider or knob, or even something like the 40-watt K-Box where it just kind of had a set of lights depending on what power it's at. Anything would help this device along, because there's really no way you can control what type of hit you get out of it. So for the people that don't like higher wattage, they could adjust it. But unfortunately, with this thing, as it is right now, there's just nothing. I mean, it's like a bypass battery. Some people are going to like that fact. Other people are going to hate it. And me personally, I really wish it had some form of control. Just anything would help this out greatly. And my last very subjective con is that the little gold screws, I know that probably was not an aesthetic choice of the designer or anything like that, but it just kind of takes away from the whole look of it. Everything else is silver on here, and then you got these little gold screws, and that just distracts me. I don't know why I thought of that, but it was one of the first things I thought of when I took it out of the box. I said, those just don't fit. Those don't belong. And it takes away from the overall design. So really very subjective and doesn't matter whatsoever, but I just felt like mentioning that because it just kind of looks gaudy and obnoxious. But you guys might not care. That's just me personally. That's something that bugs me. Anyways, one more vape off this thing and we'll move on. And last but not least, would I purchase this device if I did not receive it for free for the purpose of doing this video? Well, my answer would be probably not. And the reason I say that is because I just feel like it has a lot of cool little nifty features, but just not enough to really grab my attention, especially compared to the other products that are cheaper on the market today. And I'm personally not really wowed by the whole, modular type design. The only reason I could see that being a cool thing is if they had an interchangeable e-liquid tank or a ceramic cup for dry herb or a wax vaporizer or something like that, so you could interchange those systems. Now, that wouldn't matter to me personally because I only vape e-liquid, but I could see from the, other consumer point of view, yeah, that would be kind of cool. Would it be worth $80? Probably not, but at the same time, I feel like if a few of the improvements that I mentioned in this video were done to this device, I feel like it would be worth a little bit more. Maybe not $80, but probably around $50-$60, then I could see myself buying it. But as it stands right now, my answer is going to be no. Sorry, but just can't really do it for the price that it's at. Anyways, guys, that about does it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Of course, leave me comments in the box below of what you think of the Khree Z or the modular box mod system or anything else you guys want to talk about. I'd love to discuss it down there in the comment section. Of course, check out the advocacy links in the box below. I've got them down there for you so you can fight for your right to vape. And check me out on my different social medias. I have Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow me on there. Like my page on Facebook. Check out my Snapchat. And if you want to give me a couple of bucks on Patreon, that would be awesome as well. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, vape on!